Shalom, party people, and welcome to the 12th C. So, Esmark compression wrap. That's what this wonderful piece of elastic is. I carry one of these on my CCW rig, and I will link the video down below. This particular Esmark compression bandage, it came with me when I went to Refuge medical essential responder training, and it stayed in place all day for the first day, no issues. The second day, I noticed that it actually came out of its place that I keep it in, and I just rubber banded it to my CCW rig. During some pretty heavy running, it just fell out of place. And I think what I just needed to do was go in and change up the rubber band structure that I have around it, because I had a pretty weak rubber band holding it in place, and so it had nothing to do with this compression wrap and everything to do with my method of securing to it. Other than that, it stayed where it needed to. I actually never used it during training. It did just a whole lot of riding around with me. After it fell out of its place that it was in, all I did was just tossed it in a little pouch that I had with me all day. And I thought about using it, but for the vast majority, I just had a pressure dressing with me. And we can talk a little bit more about the pressure dressing, but the purpose of this video is more of a review for the Esmark compression bandage. And you may be wondering, hey, what in the world is the Esmark? And if you're familiar with the SWAT T, which is the stretch, wrap, and tuck tourniquet, it's black and orange, and it's another piece of elastic that's a little bit thicker than this one is. And when you stretch that stretch, wrap, and tuck one, it has rectangles on it that will become squares as it stretches. That's really about all the stretch, wrap, and tuck tourniquet has going for it. The Esmark is basically identical in every other way. Other than that, it's the same type of elastic. It's really basically, you can go to Walmart and buy an elastic band that you work out with, as long as it's the flat style. It will do the same thing. So there's a few situations where something like this is going to come in way more handy than a legit tourniquet. If you're in a non-permissive environment that will not, allow for having any kind of medical on you, otherwise you'd be perceived as a threat, or if you're going into a situation where you're not legally allowed to carry a windlass tourniquet with you, this is a piece of elastic. So if you're allowed to have a rubber band, you're allowed to have this. And that is something that some people may need to consider. The other benefit of this is this doesn't have to be used as a tourniquet. This can be a pressure dressing. This can be used for just, wrapping around things that need it. I mean, theoretically, you could use it as a rubber band if you needed to. You work out with it if you wanted to. I don't recommend doing that because this is designed specifically as a medical device. Another perk is this is $10. Some downsides. This is not really good for self-application. Theoretically, you can self-apply this as a tourniquet. Like if I needed to put it on this arm, I could put it around here and start wrapping, kind of like what a Venus tourniquet would be. There are some downsides to this. That's barely pushing 1.5 inches when everything's all stacked together. As you can see, I am starting to get some vascularity in there, but there's some questions behind that. What that capillary refill time is going to look like, it's slow, but it's there. So you may not be guaranteeing a solid stop of blood flow. I can tell you by how tight this is that we're getting kind of close. Another downside is if you don't wrap this just right, it theoretically can come undone. Some perks to this. A legit windlass tourniquet, depending on how small the little people are in your life, you may not be able to get a windlass tourniquet around their arm or even their leg. So if you have littles in your life, having a pressure dressing or a compression wrap of some kind, maybe all you need to stop massive hemorrhaging after you put some pressure on it and then are able to wrap around. When you are applying to somebody else, this is just a trainer device. I've got another video that I built off of this one that I will definitely link in the description. You could theoretically take this and you could wrap your pressure dressing, and this is just a pool noodle that I've run a dowel rod in, but as you can see, I've got this quite a bit wider. And on somebody who is small, their blood pressure is going to be a lot lower. So real young children in your life that need just a pressure dressing, this is going to be an option. And when it's wider, you don't even have to get it as tight as what it would be if it was just 1.5 inch thick tourniquet. So running something like this is an option for having littles in your life. And what you can do is you can tuck it, just get in under there, tuck that into place, and the compression will hold that. But as you're moving them, that could come dislodged, and if it becomes dislodged, then you have to reapply. So that is an option, and I do like that. You know, the littles in my life, a windlass tourniquet's not going to work on them, so having something like this is an option. There's another option other than the stretch wrap and tuck tourniquet where you can do a pressure dressing. Usually your pressure dressings, you're going to back up with gauze. You can get something like this, and it's basically like a ace bandage with a big pad right in there, and then it's got Velcro in on the sides. And you can do the same basic thing. In this type of situation, we'd actually wound pack this first with a whole bunch of gauze, but for just the demonstration of what we're doing today, we'll put that bandage over the wound, and then we would wrap and get pressure on it. Now, in something like this, what you actually can do is you can twist it, and you can do the exact same thing with your Esmark or your SWAT T or sorry, not SWAT T, your soft T tourniquet, or no, I'm sorry, your stretch wrap and tucks SWAT T tourniquet. I can't think tonight, but you can actually do the same thing with it where you twist it, and that twisting action will allow it to push more direct pressure in whatever's going on. So using a pressure dressing is there. These conveniently, very conveniently, come where they are vacuum sealed in a very nice pack, and they're flat, but you know, it's kind of a one-time open and use device. You don't really reuse that type of pressure dressing, whereas this, you theoretically could bleach it and use it again if you needed to. There's also one more that I don't have in front of me. I've actually never laid hands on one, but there's a lot of people out there that are saying very, very good things about it. Something out there, it's called a Slishman device, and it's kind of like if this thing and a Cat Gen 7 had a baby, because it's the stretchiness of an Esmark type bandage or of a stretch wrap and tuck type tourniquet or a pressure dressing type dressing, and it has like a whole lot of Velcro on it, and all of that Velcro really helps it secure a lot better. Those type of devices conveniently sell for about the same thing that this Esmark does, is right around that $10 to $14 mark, which is kind of nice. All in all, I do think this has a place. The Esmark bandage, the pressure dressing, the stretch wrap and tuck tourniquet, the Slishman device, they all have a place. I don't think they're the end all be all. If you go on to Sam Slishman's YouTube channel and watch his videos, which I will link his YouTube channel down in the description because I think his device is very interesting. He's kind of like it's the end all be all only kind of device out there, and I get it. He's got a product that he has to sell, and that's what feeds his family. I think it has a place, and I think it's good, but I don't necessarily think it's like the only thing that's out there. It's not just the cat's pajamas. I think it is maybe one set of pajamas that the cat has. It's pretty cool. The Esmark, same thing. You know, it's not the cat's pajamas, but it definitely is probably a set in the closet of pajamas that cat owns. They're very nice. They're very inexpensive. $10. I will link an affiliate link down in the description. Go pick yourself up a couple of these. If you got little people in your life, having this in your kit should totally be worth it. You can roll them up, you can fold them flat. They are fantastic, but I definitely do recommend the Esmark Pro bandage, but I think you should definitely carry other options as well. But go do hard things.